Hi there, Casey Healey, Director here at Century 21 Novocastrian, back with you for our Monday wrap, keeping Newcastle investors up to date what's happening in the current rental market, tips, tricks and strategies to maximise your return on your investment. As always, Nicole joins us, our investor consultant. Morning, Nick.
Morning.
Happy Monday.
I know.
What a nice weekend.
How
sunshine.
great was it? It was nice.
Changes everything when the sun's out, I swear.
Yep.
This week, what are we chatting about?
Well, as always, as you know, I do love a good chat about some conversations that I've previously had with
Keeps
investors.
it real, right?
Yeah, that's
real
right.
Conversations that we're having on the ground with investors that maybe aren't happy with their current agent.
Yeah, and that was exactly where I was at last week, and it's actually been a couple of weeks since I've been communicating with this investor in regards to her property and where it's at now. And look, I'm going to be honest, it's not in a great place for her as the investor, and she is just really stuck on what to go, needed a little bit of guidance and moving forward. So I suppose for me, that raises a few red flags when you're engaging with your managing agent, but also during the tenancy, you know, what's happening
along that transaction, because everything doesn't come to a head just at the end of tenancy.
Yeah.
You can see there's red flags and there's things you should be looking at during the tenancy, which in the end has turned to worse for this owner.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's so hard at this point. It was not a great conversation.
It is hard because she's currently going through insurance and finalising a tenancy, and we want to help, but what is actually best for her is to keep it with that current agent for the time being and let them sort out the mess, because they have all of the conversation history, they have all of the ingoing photos, the vacate photo, all of that intricate detail, that if we come in and kind of done the cleanup for them, we wouldn't have that evidence, which they'll have within their email trails and things like that, that's really going to be needed to fight that tribunal case.
Yeah, definitely. So I think as an investor, you need to be looking at this straight away. So the first thing is, are they a local agent? So for us in our agency, yes, our office is based in Newcastle, but we have, you know, properties up at the Hunter, we're out, you know, out the Bayway, down Lake Macquarie, but we have the team structure to support that.
And a centralised office.
Yeah.
So property managers that are managing stuff in the Hunter are actually living in the Hunter themselves.
Yeah.
So it works for us to have a wide service area because we have these key roles within the key areas around Newcastle and surrounds.
Yeah, so if you're engaging with an agent who's not local, so I'm just going to throw Sydney out
based.
there. Great minds, right? Yeah, that's Sydney based, and they tell you that they've got an agent on the ground. Where's on the ground? Are they actually local?
Or are they just on the ground because they're the ones travelling doing the inspections day to day?
Yeah, that's right. So all of our team, we're local in the areas that we all work in. So that's the first thing as well, because all of us understand our market. So you've got to be mindful that agent on the ground, are they familiar with the actual market? Cheap fees, for me, is another big red flag. You literally, and that old saying, you get what you pay for. Jeez, we're on sync today, Case. But yeah, it's literally that. Don't think that going for a cheaper fee, because in this instance,
this has cost this owner a lot of money.
Yeah, and that was an attraction, and I asked that question, what was it that made you decide? And it was that initial investor looking just to reduce the costs, I suppose, and now, long term, that's going to cost a lot more. Also, if an agent offers a fee-based model, so they may just have one fee for the monthly, what are you getting with that fee?
Yeah.
I think from my conversations that I've had is that, again, you're literally getting what you pay for. They're not going to go over and above that scenario. Inspection reports, keep an eye on those. What is the detail with those? What are the conversations you're having with your property manager or
after those inspections?
Yeah, the comments in there, are they reflective of the photos? And
are the photos the right date and time stamp? Because we've even seen agents using old photos for periodical inspections, and I'm like,
have a look. We can see when our team are out, date and time. Yeah,
what else you can anyway.
Yeah, that's right. So that's really important. And no plan. I think that's another key thing. Can you have a conversation with the property manager, or, you know, for the likes of Casey and I out there, and we be able to share with you our structure, our systems and processes, and can answer any questions you have on what we would do in that situation. So it's just, I don't know, I know we've spoken about it before, but it's you know, that conversation, it's...
You look at it in this circumstance, and if you paid a little bit more, if you were a little bit more diligent, and if you were a little bit more detailed along the way, those red flags may not have left this investor where they are at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And she's at that struggle. Like, she did share with me, she wanted to sell the property, put it on the sales market, but it's not in the condition it needs to do to go to market. So yeah, so that's just what I've got for you for Monday.
Like it. And our numbers, where are we at this week? So we've had 475 rental inquiries this week, 214 prospective tenants, 36 scheduled inspections, applications received 103, 235 tenants registered to inspect. So of the scheduled inspections to tenants looking to inspect, we're kind of looking at 4 per open house at this stage. And we've leased 4 properties. So leasing numbers are probably still down a little bit. Average days on market, still sitting around that 10-day mark. But we're coming back into the spring market now. So I'm seeing that it should increase. We're still at a really low vacancy rate. It's the properties we've got sitting and sticking at the moment, that high end. So I think we've got one at 1,500 a week, we've got one at 1,200 a week. Those ones are the harder ones to lease at the moment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's what we've got for you for this Monday wrap. If you've got any questions in relation to your investment property, we'd love to have the conversations with you early to ensure you're maximising your return and minimising your risk. I'm Casey Healey, Director here at Century 21.
And I'm Nicole, Hoare, Investor Consultant within our team.
We'll talk with you next week. Bye.